Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
CryptoGids is interviewing Corsair today, and I want to start with asking you, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and how did this all start?
Thank you. Well, quickly about myself. So my name is Jussi Veikko Saloranta. Please call me Jay. Usually works best for all languages. I am originally from Finland, 42 years of age. I have been living in Thailand now for approximately 20 years. My background is in hospitality and real estate development. My partners and I, over the course of the last 20 years in Thailand, have together completed more than 1,000 housing units. So everything from construction, from real estate development, building houses for the local people, the local market, building luxury condominiums and villas and resorts. That has been our primary business for the last 20 years.
Was that the reason you moved to Thailand?
Yes, originally. And I graduated in Finland from a hotel management school in 20 years ago, and then basically moved to Thailand and started my career in real estate and construction. And that's always been a passion for me, so land development, real estate in general. But in around 2011, 2012, I first came across with Bitcoin. Immediately loved the idea of decentralization.
That's early.
Yes. Yeah, I think Bitcoin at that time, it was around, just hovering around below $1,000 mark. That was around that time.
They think even lower.
Yeah, and that's when sort of I know there was another wave of publicity that happened at that time. So that's when I got
drugs hack around that time.
Yes, exactly. And during that time, there was still no Ethereum. It was basically just Bitcoin and Litecoin, and there was a couple other projects, but it was just like a small circle. And I loved the idea of decentralization, loved the idea of the blockchain, got involved in that, and then basically during the last 10 years, I've been involved in a few startup companies, and but the real estate has always been my sort of main focus. Until in 2018, when we came across, actually through an introduction of a university in Thailand, the concept of plastic waste recycling. And I mean, it was a surprise for myself, and I believe for many other people as well, that for the last decades, most of the plastic waste, for example, from Europe, from North America, Japan, Australia, was not recycled in any way. But in fact,
being done.
That was simply plastic that was transported over to China, and then Chinese companies were getting paid to take the waste in, burn it, dump it, or as we know today, even just throw it back into the ocean. And so these kind of things were happening over there, not back into the ocean, but into the ocean. And so we came across with the technology that could actually take this plastic waste and then convert it back into its original form, which is oil. From where all these plastic products that we use every day have been made from. And that was an eye-opener for me. And when I saw that hey, we can actually take other people's garbage, we can actually make it into something valuable, and most of all, we can then use that oil to make new plastic products, eliminating the need for new fossil oil to be drilled out from the ground, but instead, like glass, like metal, like paper, we can recycle the existing plastic that we already have here on the ground. That was the eye-opener for me, and that's when myself, my partners, and obviously the great community that we've built ever since, fully focused now on the mission of developing this business into an industrial scale model that we can take all over the world, and while doing so, we can clean the planet from plastic pollution and create wealth and financial independence for the people that are part of this mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry for the long introduction.
No, absolutely. Very good, very good. I studied your project, and I find it really interesting. You actually build a whole circular economy around it, because you have the people in the villages collecting the plastic, bringing it back in, melting the plastic, selling the oil to Shell.
Correct.
They have the buyback program for the tokens. So you actually have, what a lot of crypto projects don't have, is a whole circular economy. So
Yes.
you actually managed to do that. My compliments. Right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that one of the biggest differences that we have as a sort of a, let's say, crypto project or as a digital asset in general is, number one, the fact that the CSR plastic credit is an actual digital receipt for the physical work that is being done. Meaning that whenever we go out, or one of our contributors, like the 100,000 fishermen that we work in Thailand, or the people in the very low income community areas, some of them living in extreme poverty, when they go out now and they clean their own community, they are earning an additional income, and as a result of that work, the CSR plastic credits are generated as digital receipts for the physical actions that were taken.
Yes.
And that means that there is something actual real backing up each and every CSR plastic credit. And then just to finalize on that topic, the fact that the end user of the CSR plastic credit will actually eventually burn the token.
Yes.
We have a process called retirement, which is a very elegant system that we've created. And that means that, unlike in most other crypto projects, the end users will try to sell the token to someone else on a higher price.
Yes.
In our case, the end user, in most cases being a corporation, even some of the largest companies in the world, they will use and spend that credit by retiring it, otherwise burning the token.
Yeah.
And by doing so, they are completely removing it now from the circulation. So all the elements that everybody kind of wants to see in a crypto project is now actually taking place and working with the CSR plastic credit.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Also, you mentioned the fishermen. I heard about a story that there were fishermen, they were catching fish, and they were catching plastic,
Correct.
which they normally throw back into the sea.
Exactly.
And now, because of this project, they're actually bringing the plastic in. Some are even fishing for plastic and bringing it back.
Exactly.
I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
That's something, that's really good for the planet.
For sure.
So, what is your next goal? What do you want to achieve? What are your next goals for the coming years?
Well, generally speaking, for plastic credit, so just to be very clear, we are not the first plastic credit or the only plastic credit out there. And we're actually very happy for that. There is a growing market at the moment involving the use of plastic credits, which are following very much on the footsteps of what was done with the carbon credits.
Yes.
And we've seen, actually just a couple of weeks ago, another United Nations meeting which took place in Canada, where 175 countries have now formed a working group, kind of like a committee, to create legally binding restrictions and requirements on all of these 175 countries, which now together are looking to tackle and end plastic waste.
Wow.
As a part of that process, what is being done is that more and more responsibility is being placed on the companies that are actually creating plastic pollution. In the most simplest way, if you have a company and you make plastic waste, today you can just simply ignore the fact that you are polluting the planet with potentially billions and billions of kilos of plastic waste. But this will end, and it will end in the beginning of next year.
Wow.
And as a part of that, it simply means that if you create plastic waste, you are now, as a business, responsible by law to take responsibility of your plastic garbage.
And that changes the whole thing.
Absolutely. And what would be the easiest way to manage this is other than using plastic credits.
Yeah.
And we've already seen how that was done with carbon credits. So if you're a company, you create, let's say you create 10,000 kilos of plastic waste a month, you are now legally obligated to work together with someone to go out and collect an equal amount of waste from the environment.
Wow.
In our case, you can do it by acquiring CSR plastic credits from the exchange and then following through the retirement program, and you receive your final certification and you prove that now you have actually removed that amount of plastic from the environment.
Because every one credit is how much? Kilos?
Each credit represents 100 grams of plastic waste collected from the environment. So 10 credits equals 1 kilo in that same ratio.
Perfect.
And basically it means that once a company buys a credit from the exchange, they go through the retirement. Now they are the end user. Now they are the one who paid for the removal.
Yes.
And that means that now the fisherman or someone in the collection center or an informal collector or a recycling company like our own operations now received that financial incentive to go and do more of that. Yes. And if it wasn't for the plastic credit and the incentive, all this plastic would be just left out there in the environment, like we have done for the last 50 years in many places.
Yeah, it's really something that needs to be done. And there actually is, you guys are partners with Shell. They do part of the buyback, and there's like this buyback program where you also use part of the funds to buy back the credits.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because then you keep the whole thing circular.
Yes.
And what is the incentive for a person to buy the credits? Is it the responsibility part, or is there also a financial incentive to buy the credits?
Well, the bottom line and the initial step is always your own actions towards the environment, because we spoke earlier about the situation in Bali, in Indonesia.
Absolutely.
You look at what's going on, what's happening in the developing countries, especially in Southeast Asia, India, Africa, and so on. And the situation is absolutely horrendous. Yeah. We've all seen those pictures and videos about beaches filled with plastic waste.
I've seen it live.
Exactly. You know, you see in rivers that are no longer flowing with water because they are so full of waste. Only in the country of Thailand, as I mentioned before, where I've been living for 20 years, in a country with around 70 million people, there are more than 2,000 landfills around the country, 2,000 landfills. And in most places, there's no separation, it's just simply a garbage dump. And I've been to tens and tens of them, and they are all filled to the max with plastic waste.
Wow. Because
if you throw in organic waste or food waste or some kind of fabric or paper or whatever, that'll eventually decompose, right? Yeah. It'll deteriorate. But the plastics ain't going anywhere. So the plastics are staying. And that's basically then filling up these landfills. During flooding, the plastic will float, it will go into the channels and the rivers and eventually into the oceans, and that's where the problem is.
Yeah, the animals, it goes inside of the animals, it comes in our food, in our water, everywhere.
Exactly. So we need to take action on that, and what we are able to do is, on our industrial side, we are able to take all that garbage. For example, we can take 100 kilos of plastic bags that other people threw away. Nobody wants them. They're out there, and you can go and pick as many as you want. They'll be very happy to give you as much as you can carry. We can take, for example, 100 kilos of plastic bags, and out of that 100 kilos, we can make as much as 90 liters of oil.
Wow.
Our process that we use is very efficient. It complies with all the European Union environmental regulations. Aside from our operations in Thailand, we're already operating now a facility in Finland, so therefore we comply with all the regulations, and environmental protection obviously is why we're here. So our aside from the process being very efficient, it's also environmentally friendly and financially very profitable.
Yes.
That means that as a part of our operations, as you mentioned about the buyback, we as a company are ourselves investing into the CSR plastic credit by allocating funds from every liters of oil that we sell to companies like Shell and our other offtake partners like Count Energy Trading, also here in the Netherlands and such. We take some of that fund and we put that into a buyback where we provide liquidity into the CSR trading, and we then invest into it ourselves for the long term. To answer your question for the private individual, the aim is always both for the private person or a company to take responsibility of their own plastic waste. So we encourage everyone to study and get to know the CSR a little bit better, and then take and acquire an equal amount of plastic waste, plastic credits to offset your plastic waste footprint.
Yeah, you're right.
And we know by study that a single person generates approximately 50 kilos of plastic waste per year.
Ooh.
So
it's actually a lot.
Exactly. So if we aim to be around for, let's say, roughly about 100 years, which would be nice, that means that during your lifetime you will be generating about 5,000 kilos of plastic waste. That's your personal plastic waste footprint. And
for 7 million people.
Exactly. Now, it starts to add up, right? So you as a private individual could make yourself to become plastic neutral by acquiring and then retiring 50,000 CSR plastic credits. So 5,000 kilos times 10 credits, that's the 50,000. And as by doing that, you will now receive certification for that, and obviously now you have contributed in a massive way in the cleaning of our planet from this problem. So that's the bottom line. Of course, we can see with everything that's happening with the United Nations, with the regulations, the countries, the companies coming on board,
the partners,
we can see a big future demand for plastic credits, not only for CSR, but for any plastic credit out there. This is expected to grow in a very similar way like the carbon credits did. It will become mandatory for companies to use plastic credits, and that is going to drive up the demand and the price of the plastic credit. So I'm not going to give investment advice to anybody, but just look at the market mechanism. If you ask me which markets are going to go up, yeah, I could say that the plastic credit market is definitely on its way up. And okay, if you hold any of the plastic credits, there's a good chance that the values are going to go up. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Then I want to ask you one more thing. There's also a network side to
Yes.
this whole business, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. So when we decided that we are going to now build our industrial operation, which basically means setting up these production facilities
You're
in
expanding them. Yeah,
exactly, different parts of the world. Our target is that every corner of the planet where there's a plastic pollution, we'd hope to see a Corsair flag on top of a production facility where we can actually be on a daily basis collecting plastic garbage and converting that into oil. As a part of that, obviously now the plastic credits are being generated as well.
Yes.
So in order to bring in recognition, in order to bring in the public behind our project, we were able to acquire about 3 years ago a direct sales network marketing company called Amplivo, which we can see right here in the background. And Amplivo today, after a lot of work that we put into this company that was nearly bankrupted at the moment when we took it over, and we remodeled, we restructured, we put it into place, and today Amplivo is one of the fastest growing direct sales companies on the planet.
Wow.
And it consists of environmentally conscious entrepreneurs, people that are joining our mission with the purpose of doing their part and helping us to clean the planet from plastic pollution while earning extremely generous commissions of introducing people into our mission. We don't sell the token, we don't sell the CSR directly. Our marketing organization is introducing people to our plastic waste collection and recycling service. That is exactly what we're doing on a daily basis. And because of that marketing element and because of that approach, we are today, without a doubt, the fastest growing plastic waste chemical recycling company on the planet. And also by Google search and Google content, we are the most searched plastic credit on the market. We are leading by a mile to everybody else. And as I've said many times, we are not here to take part, we are here to take over. And that's what we're doing, and we're very, very grateful and very happy to have this large, daily expanding community of great, amazing people behind us supporting this mission.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to hear you say that. Yeah, I think it's a really good approach, because you can find the people through other people. You know,
Absolutely.
If you I get enthusiastic about this now. I tell them about it. I use my news website. I'm going to write articles about it. So then it spreads like oil.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think I think what you're doing is it's amazing, and I think a lot more people should know about this, and should join the if they want to know more about it. They should join the presentation. There are weekly presentations where in Dutch also, where they can listen and they can ask the questions. And yeah, I think we should find as many people as possible to support the mission.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to say to the community?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for, first of all, having me as your guest. It was truly a pleasure. And as you said, we welcome people to learn more about what we're doing. I think that with our process, with our concept, with everything that we've proven, we've been around for 4 years already.
Yeah.
So that's another important point. We didn't start last week. We've gone through the growth pains, and I'm happy to say that now with more and more collaborations with companies like Shell and other major international companies, we are getting to a point where let's say that from the entrepreneurial point of view, our chances of success are now significantly bigger than our chances of failure, which is always something that every project has to go through. So we've already gone through that very crucial step where now everything is established. And you can see more and more great companies coming on board. Just a couple of weeks ago, one of the largest Italian cheese manufacturing company, Gioiella, they joined our mission. They used the CSR plastic credit to offset 1.3 million kilos of plastic waste from the environment, making their entire product packaging for 2024 completely plastic neutral. You can find their products on all the supermarkets in Italy, and we know that because of all the regulations that are coming into place, we are being contacted on a weekly basis by some of the largest companies in the world that for the first time now are waking to the fact that, wait a minute, we can't keep on polluting this planet like we did. We need to take action. A couple of months ago, Pepsi-Cola was sued by the state of New York for the pollution of plastic that they're generating. So there's no backtracking on this one. The governments are coming in, and it will be as simple as it is. If you create plastic pollution, you are responsible for taking care of that. And the best vehicle to take care of that is the CSR plastic credit.
Absolutely. That's why we should introduce it to everybody. And I'm happy to be on board of this very beautiful mission.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.